A man fought God all night long and survived. But the real question is, why didn't God let him win? There are moments in life when everything changes, not slowly, not over time, but in a single night. One decision, one encounter, one moment you can never undo. And for one man in the Bible, that moment didn't come in a temple, or a vision, or a voice from heaven. It came in the dark, alone, afraid, and face to face with someone he could not escape. His name was Jacob, a man who had spent his entire life running from his past, running from his brother, running from the consequences of who he had been. Because years earlier, Jacob had done something that changed everything. He stole, not money, not land, something far more dangerous, a blessing. And in doing so, he didn't just take something that wasn't his. He fractured trust, he rewrote his identity, and he created a future built on fear. His brother Esau wanted him dead, not out of impulse, but out of betrayal so deep it could not be ignored. So Jacob ran, and for years, he built a life far away from the past he left behind, a family, wealth, a future that looked stable on the outside, but inside, something never settled, because no matter how far he traveled, the memory of that moment followed him, quiet, persistent, unfinished. And now, the past was no longer behind him, it was coming toward him, because Esau was approaching, with 400 men, not alone, not peaceful, not accidental. And suddenly, everything Jacob had buried rose back to the surface. Fear returned, regret returned, truth returned. That night, Jacob was about to face his brother. But first, he would face something far more terrifying. Jacob sent everyone away, his family, his children, his servants, everything he owned, across the river, almost like he was preparing for something he couldn't explain. And then he stayed behind, alone. No voices, no movement, no distraction, just silence and the weight of everything he had done. Because this wasn't just fear of Esau, this was something deeper. This was guilt that had never been resolved, regret that had never been spoken, a life that had been built on avoiding a single moment. Because the truth is, you can build success, you can build distance, you can build a new life, but you cannot build your way out of who you are. And that night, Jacob had nowhere left to run. And that's when it happened. Genesis tells us something strange. It doesn't say an angel appeared. It doesn't say God spoke. It simply says, a man wrestled with him until daybreak. No warning, no explanation, just suddenly. Physical, inescapable conflict, in the darkness. Jacob didn't know who it was, but he knew one thing. This was not random, and this was not something he could ignore. Because some encounters in life don't ask for permission. They take hold of you and refuse to let go. This wasn't symbolic. This wasn't a vision. This was real. They wrestled for hours, through the night, through exhaustion, through pain, through uncertainty. Every second stretched, every movement mattered. Two figures locked together in a silent, relentless struggle. And what makes this moment so powerful is this. Jacob didn't run. For the first time in his life, he stayed. He fought, not with strategy, not with deception, but with everything he had left. And somehow, he endured until the one he was fighting did something impossible. With a single touch, he struck Jacob's hip, and instantly it was dislocated. No force, no build-up, just authority. A reminder, this was never an equal fight. This was something far beyond him. The pain would have been overwhelming, sharp, immediate, unavoidable, the kind of pain that ends a fight. But it didn't, because instead of letting go, Jacob held on tighter, not because he was strong, but because he was desperate. And desperation changes everything. The man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob refused. "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Think about what just happened. The man who once took blessings through deception is now asking for one, with honesty, broken, in pain, completely exposed, and still holding on. Because now, this wasn't about winning. This was about transformation. Jacob finally understood something. This wasn't just a man. This was God, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't running from him. He was holding on to him. And then came the question, what is your name? Not for information, but for confession. Jacob, deceiver, manipulator, the one who takes. And in speaking it, he acknowledged who he had been. Then came the answer that changed everything. You will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome. In that moment, his identity shifted, not because of what he had done, but because of who he had encountered. When the sun rose, Jacob walked away, but not the same. He was limping, marked, changed, forever. Because real encounters with God leave evidence, not always visible to others, but undeniable to you. And Jacob understood what had happened. He named the place Peniel. I have seen God face to face, and yet my life was spared. But here's the deeper truth. Jacob didn't win that night. He surrendered. He let go of control, let go of manipulation, let go of the version of himself that had been shaped by fear. And in losing that, he gained something greater, a new identity, a new direction, a new relationship with God. And that limp, it wasn't a weakness, it was a reminder that he had been in the presence of something real. So what does this mean for you? Because this isn't just history, it's personal. Jacob's story asks a question most people avoid. What happens when you stop running? When you face the truth you've been avoiding? When you allow yourself to be confronted, not by others, but by God? Because sometimes God doesn't meet you in peace. He meets you in struggle, not to break you, but to remake you. And maybe the thing you've been trying to escape is actually the moment that will define you. Because Jacob entered that night afraid and walked out transformed, not perfect, not unbroken, but different. And maybe that's the real mystery. Not that Jacob wrestled with God, but that he held on long enough to be changed.